So in Accra, we have three types of Accra here. Okay. We have Danish Accra, which known as Osu. Okay. We have Dutch Accra, which known as Sempe. Okay. And then we have British Accra, which known as Odododiodo. Yeah. Because the British slave masters couldn't pronounce it, it was changed into Jamestown. And moreover, I have to tell you the secret about certain towns or certain regions in America and in Jamaica, about Kentucky State, right? Okay. Do you know Kentucky State was named after a king in Jamestown here? A country called Jamaica. You guys yeah. Do you know the real name? Do you know the real name of Jamaica? The real name of Jamaica is Jamaica. Wow. Jamaica, that's Ashanti language. And that tells the slave that we have stuck from this land. We can no longer go back to Africa. And then one of the slave masters rise up and says, I'm gonna use that name to name the town. That's Ghana versus Nigeria, 2006, the African Cup of Nations. So where we are, this one here, it is a grave of one North American, Master and Supercargo. He is the Western's notorious slave master who shipped a lot of slaves to so many countries. He died in a British fort and he was being buried here. And his name is Joseph Davidson. When we talk about his name, we have a lot of people in Jamestown here that carries the name Davidson. Slavery was abolished in Ghana in 1700s. And this man died in 1820s. That means after slavery, this man was still here raping a lot of black women to have children with.
Wow. And he left the children here.
And he left the children here because it was Gold Coast women that he was, excuse me to say, he was like dealing with them, raping them. And then he names them with his name. So when it comes to Jamestown, almost 20 to 30% of black people in Jamestown carries the name Davidson.
Wow.
Davidson.
Yeah. Okay.
So we are now going into the British fort and for you guys to see more. By the British. It is used as a slavery activities. After they stopped the slavery, it became the prison. So this is where Nkrumah, or Sajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, this is where the British jailed him in a year in 1950s. And then the reason why he was being jailed here is that in 1950s it was revolution time. And we do not have independence. And then each and every member of Gold Coast have got to know the evil things that the British slave masters were doing to our people. So everyone has accepted that Nkrumah needs to be jailed here in a year in 1950. And he came out in 1957 and he overthrown the British. And then the name Gold Coast became Ghana. And then the meaning of Ghana is warrior king. Yeah. We are going inside to see more. So let's get in. The bend. My people, we are in a British fort that built in 1633, and then the story I pointed to, the grave. Let's go and see where the story of that man. Let's get in. Don't worry. So this was the story of the man I pointed to you, Joseph Davidson. He is the master of Supercargo, the Western's notorious slave master, who shipped a lot of slaves to so many countries. He died in 1820s and he was being buried outside. And then earlier on I spoke to you about the name Davidson. A lot of Ghanaian carries his name, Davidson. This tells many of the Ghanaian people that this man is a bad man, evil man that did a lot of evil things to our people in Jamestown here. Which now many of people in Jamestown are trying to change their names into different vibes. Let's go and see where Nkrumah was being jailed and then the slave marketing place. So this is where the Prime Minister was being jailed. Sajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He was being jailed here in a year in 1950s. In 1950s, let's get in.
Oh, it's so dark.
Only him here for a year.
No lights, no nothing.
No lights, no nothing. Him alone here for a year in 1950s. Food, water, upstairs here like this. They drop food and water down here for him. Only him. And that was the bed of Nkrumah. This is where Nkrumah sleeps. That was the bed of him. Only him here that sleeps here for 12 months.
Wow.
for 12 months. It was only him. And the reason why it was only him is that he knows that every Ghanaian member is fighting for him to get independence. And Nkrumah has a league, he has a group of people that are known as the Big Six. So the Big Six were the founder of Ghana. So when he was staying here, the 5 of them were staying outside waiting for him to spend the 1 year in this room. So when he spent it out, he spent the 1 year, they came in here and brings him out. Food, water, upstairs here like this. He does everything here. He baths here, goes to toilet here for 12 months. The British slave masters does not want us to get independence. So the processing is they want Nkrumah to find it in hard condition for him not to be able to survive. That is why they put him in this room for 12 months. And he came out in 1957, and then we overthrew the British away. And then the name Gold Coast became Ghana.
Yeah.
And then the meaning of Ghana is Warrior King. Warrior King.
This place is too.
Over 60 slaves in one room.
60 slaves?
Over 60 slaves in one room. The reason why they put a lot of people in one room is that they know that the black people are very strong and we can overcome them. So what they do is they pile a lot of people in one room like sardines, so that when it's time for them to ship them, it becomes very soft for them to throw them into the ships. That is why they put a lot of people in one room. And these are shackles.
Wow.
These are shackles, slave shackles. These are slave shackles. So let's go and see the slave marketing place. So this is the slave marketing place I'm talking about. When the slaves were being kept in their rooms, and then finally they bring them out, and then this is where they market them and who sells them. And then in terms of like selling slaves, the slave masters does not use money to buy the slave. They have something they call barter trade, because they also came with a lot of natural resources from Europe. Candles, alcohol, murals, gunpowders, guns, and etc. So they do exchanges with the slaves. So when you give me 200 slaves, I give you 400 people. When you give me candles, I do that. So that's how they go exchange. Finally, when the slaves were being sold, that's a door of no return. That's all that comes out in that door of no return. So here, this is where I'm standing. It was having a passive through. That takes the slave to the ocean. The ships are there waiting for them, and they send them to so many countries. But after we stopped the slavery, it became the prison. So for the prisoners not to escape, they have to close it. And that's where the prisoners showered. And then moreover too, a lot of Ghanaian slaves were the slaves that picked from here to Brazil in Bahia. Many of them returned back in 1830s in Jamestown fishing harbor. One went to Togo, one went to Niger, and 5 of them stayed in Jamestown fishing harbor. The place where they settled is closer to the Dutch area. So the Dutch king and the Dutch chiefs went there and approached them. The first language that they spoke with our people is Tabon. Because we wasn't understanding the Portuguese language, many of our people have to return back and speak to other people who might understand the language. But due to certain things, we still don't understand the Portuguese language. So many of our people have to go back and brings them and give them a portion in the Dutch area, which known as the Brazilian house. The leaders gave them a portion in the Dutch area, which now is still known as the Portuguese house, which known as the Brazilian house. Due to that, every Ghanaian speak good Portuguese, because when they settled, they started having an affair with many of the black people. Due to that, every Ghanaian speak Portuguese. And also we have a lot of Ghanaian as well that has a lot of Portuguese names. When you come to Ghana and you heard the name Nutrot, it's also one of the Portuguese names. When you come to Ghana and you heard the name Ansin, it's also one of the Portuguese names. Azuma as well. And then let's come to the tunnel again. Loading slaves from this tunnel to the ships takes about 3 to 4 months before the ships become full. Wow. So when they are loading them and the ship is full, if a slave is left from the tunnel, instead of the British slave masters to return them back to the dungeons, they refuse, because they does not want people to hear about the slavery, or they does not want people to see that they are taking people to different countries. What they do is that the rest of the slave, the British slave masters need to kill them, but they can never kill them physically. So if it is 30 slaves that were left in this tunnel, what they do is they bring all the 30 out, and this is where they keep the 30 slaves in. So this room is known as waiting for the next ship. Waiting for the next ship. So if it is 30 slaves that were left in here, for 6 months. Do you think they will survive? No food, no water. Do you think they will survive?
Wow.
So in between the slave masters, they know that you have to die in there. So this room is known as waiting for the next ship. But between the slave masters waiting to die. So this room is known as waiting for the next ship. That's what they tell the rest of the slaves. We have places. 10 cities per each places, and it is 3 places to visit. So each child pays 30 cities.
Yeah.
Yes, please. So in terms of after they stopped the slavery, after they stopped the slavery, it became the prison. Those cell 6, each what you get. I mean the prisoners. You know, in Ghana we have a lot of crimes to bring people in this place. So it became cell 6 as each what you get. You know, we have a lot of like crimes, like murderers and robbers. When such people were being caught here, for people not to like, for them not to announce, for them not to like vibe with other people with guns and those things. That's where they keep them here. For them not to like influence with the others. So and then this place was just abandoned in 2007. So 2006, the prisoners were here. They even watched the African Cup of Nations here, Ghana versus Nigeria. That's Ghana versus Nigeria, 2006, the African Cup of Nations. And then 2007, it was abandoned. The reason why they closed this place is that this fort was purposely meant to kill black people. So if we've had independence, in other way, they should never keep black people in here. That is why it was abandoned in 2007.
So where were the prisoners moved to?
We have a lot of prison in Accra, here, in Sawam, in Jamestown, and different places in Accra. Was the first port and harbour we have by the British.
The first port and harbour?
Yeah, that we have by the British. And then when we had independence 1957, the Prime Minister abandoned the port and harbour we have by the British to Tema. So over 17,000 population of local Ghanaian people were living here. But due to the politicians' vibe, the leaders and the Chinese make one and break over 17,000 houses down, and now it has been given to the Chinese people. And then you see where the lighthouse color is. That used to be the point of no return. The slave that's where they land and then they load them into the ships. Wow. But now the Chinaman has changed it as sea defense fishing. So these are the local boats we use for fishing. Okay. Something like this goes very far. 200 miles, 300 miles, 400 miles. Even these boats go to Calabar.
Wow, really? In Nigeria?
They go to Calabar. A lot of Ghanaian boats fish in Calabar. From here to Calabar. Wow. Goes very far. And then the name of the wood is known as Wawa tree. The bottom is one log from Ashanti region. They carve it very nicely and fix the works on it. And then after that, they start fishing with it. Okay. And something like this lasts for a long period of time, 60 to 70 years before it got spots. Wow. The main occupation in Jamestown is fishing and boxing. Okay. That's the main occupation in this town. I mean, due to technology vibe, they need to renovate the British harbour. Yeah. So it has been given to the Chinese people, and they will be in charge and fish.
Okay, they're just in charge of renovating it.
Yes, please. They are in charge of renovating it.
Okay. So I want to ask a question. You can see how far that place is, that tunnel.
Yes,
so
please.
These people pass under the ground.
Yes, please.
Jesus
Christ.
Yes,
please. Yes, please. Yes,
Jesus.
please.
So people don't die under the ground.
Many people died there. When they died, we have a town in Jamestown that known as the Vultures Town. That is the place whereby black body were being laid over there, and then vultures eat the flesh of the black slave.
okay, because I like similar horrible stories. You know, I'm not too surprised because I've heard like a lot of horrible stories about these castles that were in Ghana.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I think Ghana was like the main port of the whole African, neighboring African countries.
Even,
so they'll bring
even
up the
people were
slaves
being
here.
taken from Nigeria,
and they
Togo,
bring them
all
here,
places
and then they'll
to here.
see.
Yes, please.
Wow. The day I went to
in Calabar, they also have a slave castle over there as well.
Wow.
Yeah. The interested party is Jamestown British. Yeah. So in Accra, we have 3 types of Accra here.
Okay.
We have Danish Accra, which known as Osu. Okay. We have Dutch Accra, which known as Sempe. Okay. And then we have British Accra, which known as Odododiodo. But because the British slave masters couldn't pronounce it, it was changed into Jamestown. And moreover, I have to tell you the secret about certain towns or certain regions in America and in Jamaica. Okay. I'm sure you guys have heard about America.
Yeah.
And you guys have been also hearing about Kentucky State, right?
Okay.
Do you know Kentucky State was named after a king in Jamestown here?
Really?
The real name of Kentucky State is known as Nitaki. Nitaki was the king of Accra, who was the slave masters was deceiving him, because before they gonna deals with those kings, they have to like make a party, get them some drinks for them to booze. So later, by the time you realize, you do a lot of things that you might not believe, because the slave masters tried to deceive the king and the queens in our town as well. So the real name of Kentucky State is known as Nitaki, and Nitaki was the king of Accra, whom a lot of slaves were pushing by him to the slave masters. So the slave that brought from Nitaki's hands to the state, for them not to get lost of their roots, they have to name the name after the king, Kentucky State. But the real name is Nitaki. And then in Virginia State, they also have a town over there called Jamestown. They were the Ghana slave picked from Jamestown, Ghana, here to Jamestown in America, Virginia State. And then you guys have heard about a town also in a country called Jamaica. You guys
yeah.
Do you know the real name? Do you know the real name of Jamaica? The real name of Jamaica is Jamaica.
Wow.
Jamaica, that's Ashanti language. And that tells the slave that we have stuck from this land. We can no longer go back to Africa. And then one of the slave masters rise up and says, I'm gonna use that name to name the town, Jamaica. Okay. But the real name is what? Jamaica. Jamaica, that's Ashanti language. Jamaica. And that tells the slave that we have stuck from this land. We have blocked from this room. We can no longer go back to Nigeria again, and then that name become Jamaica.
Wow.
Do you understand, my people?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so Rastafari. Much love, my people.
Did you tell us your name?
My real name is Ni Akwe Ado, a king from the Dutch Palace. And Dutch Palace is known as Sempe.
Sempe.
Yeah, Rastafari.
What? Is that what?
You come. That's a palace of the British, which known as English Alata Manche Palace, Jamestown, British, Accra. And then the name English, that's a Ghana language. And that tells many of the Ghana, the slave masters from the UK, this is where they settle. And then earlier on, as I spoke to you, that you guys are Nigerian. Look at the wall. It is written on the wall, Alata. Alata referred to every Ghana tribe. We migrated from Nigerian, from Ile-Ife, and this is where we settle as Nigerian people. And then we have a statue over there. He's the paramount chief of Jamestown. 97 years old, spent 37 on top of the throne. He's the 5th chief that we have. This man passed away many years ago, and we haven't elected the next person yet. The next person could have chosen by the oracles. Okay. And then as well too, what we have over there, the yellow building over here, it used to be the British slave masters' offices. Whenever the British slave masters are ordering the slave, that's where they go in there and book an appointment before they started shipping the slave to so many countries. But now it has turned as a Bible house. They do sell people in there, but now they do sell Bible over there.
It's not like a church.
It's not like a church selling Bibles. So Rastafari, my people.
Thank you so much for taking us.
Yeah, you're welcome. My number is there, so you can talk to me any day, anytime.
It was really nice, guys. If you're here, you're still watching. Thank you so much for coming along. So that was like the tour of the Osu Castle. Yeah, the Osu Castle. James Fort here in Jamestown. That's the history behind everything. I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And And don't forget to reach out to me if you are coming here also, so I can take you out on a tour of the place. It's really amazing. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you did also. Thank you so much. See you guys in the next one. Bye.